Hello, YouTube. Hi, everyone. Today's reading is an update on the second part of the seventh chapter in Zecharia Sitchin's The 12th Planet, titled The Epic of Creation. Yesterday, we left off on just about the beginning of page 213. Etymo- Etymologically, the names of these two planets stem from the root LHM, lachem, which translates to make war. The ancients bequeathed us to the tradition that Mars was the god of war and Venus the goddess of both love and war. Lamu and Lahamu are indeed male and female names, respectively, and the identity of the two gods of the epic and the planets Mars and Venus is thus affirmed both etymologically and mythologically. It is also affirmed astronomically, as the missing planet Tiamat was located beyond Mars. Mars and Venus are indeed located in the space between the Sun, which is the Apsu, and Tiamat. We can illustrate this by following this Sumerian celestial map on figures 102 and 103 on the next page. The process of the formation of the solar system then went on. Lamu and Lahamu, Mars and Venus, were brought forth, but even before they had grown in age and in stature to an appointed size, god Anshar and god Kishar were formed, surpassing them in size. As lengthened the days and multiplied the years, god Anu became their son, of his ancestors a rival. Then Anshar's firstborn Anu, as his equal and in his image begot Nudimid, with a terseness matched only by the narrative's precision. Act 1 of the epic of creation has been swiftly played out before our very eyes. We are informed that Mars and Venus were to grow only to a limited size, but even before their formation was complete, another pair of planets was formed. The two were majestic planets, as evidenced by their names, Anshar, which translates Prince, foremost of the heavens, and Kishar, which translates foremost of the firm lands. They overtook in size the first pair, surpassing them in stature. The description, epithets, and location of the second pair easily identify them as Saturn and Jupiter in figure 104. That's in 2 pages from now. Some time then passed, multiplied the years, and a third pair of planets was brought forth. First came Anu, smaller than Anshar and Kishar, their son, but larger than the first planets, of his ancestors a rival in size. Then Anu in turn begot a twin planet, his equal and in his image. The Babylonian version names the planet Nidimid, an epithet of Ea or Enki. Once again, the descriptions of the sizes and locations fit the next known pair of planets in our solar system, Uranus and Neptune. There was yet another planet to be accounted for among these outer planets, the one we call Pluto. The epic of creation has already referred to Anu as Anshar's firstborn, implying that there was yet another planetary god born to Anshar or Saturn. The epic catches up with this celestial deity later on, when it relates to how Anshar sent out his emissary Gaga on various missions to other planets. Gaga appears in function at stature equal to Apsu's emissary Mumu. This brings to mind the many similarities between Mercury and Pluto. Gaga then was Pluto, but the Sumerians placed Pluto on their celestial map, not beyond Neptune, but next to Saturn. Whose emissary or satellite it was? In Figure 105, which is 2 pages from here. Excuse me. As Act 1 of the Epic of Creation came to an end, there was a solar system made up of the Sun and 9 planets. The Sun being the Apsu, which is the one who existed from the beginning. Then we have Mercury, Mumu, counselor and emissary of Apsu. Venus, Lahamu, which is Lady of Battles. Mars is Lamu, the deity of war. There's an unknown planet, which is translated to Tiamat, which translates maiden who gave life. Then we have Jupiter, which is Kishar, foremost of firm lands. Then Saturn, Anshar, which is foremost of the heavens. Pluto is Gaga, counselor and emissary of Anshar. Uranus is Anu, he of the heavens. And Neptune, Nidimud, Ea, artful creator. The top illustration is Figure 102, and it's titled Act 1, In the Beginning, Sun, Mercury, Tiamat. So it's pretty self-explanatory there. Figure 103, Act 2, The Inner Planets, the gods in the myths come forth. It's self-explanatory itself. Figure 104 at the top is Act 3. The Shars, the giant planets, are created together with their emissary. Just below that we have Figure 105, which is in Act 4. The last 2 planets are added, equal in each other's image. And the last 2 that were added, Sitchin was mentioning, it would be Neptune and Saturn, which were Nidimud and Anshar. Excuse me. Where were Earth and the Moon? They were yet to be created, products of the forthcoming cosmic collision. With the end of the majestic drama of the birth of the planets, the authors of the creation epic now raise the curtain on Act 2, on a drama of celestial turmoil. The newly created family of planets was far from being stable. The planets were gravitating toward each other. They were converging on Tiamat, disturbing and endangering the primordial bodies. The divine brothers banded together. They disturbed Tiamat as they surged back and forth. They were troubling the belly of Tiamat by their antics in the dwellings of heaven. Apsu cannot lessen their clamor. Tiamat was speechless at their ways. Their doings were loathsome. Troublesome were their ways. We have here obvious references to erratic orbits. The new planets surged back and forth. They got too close to each other, banded together. They interfered with Tiamat's orbit. They got too close to her belly. Their ways were troublesome. Though it was Tiamat that was principally endangered, Apsu too found the planet's ways loathsome. He announced his intention to destroy, wreck their ways. He huddled with Mumu, conferred with him in secret. But whatever they had plotted between them was overheard by the gods, and the plot to destroy them left them speechless. The only one who did not lose his wits was Ea. He devised a ploy to pour sleep upon Apsu. When the other celestial gods liked the plan, Ea drew a faithful map of the universe and cast a divine spell upon the primeval waters of the solar system. What was this spell or force exerted by Ea? The planet Neptune. Then the outermost planet, as it orbited the sun and circled all the other planets. Did its own orbit around the sun affect the sun's magnetism and thus its radioactive outpourings? Or did Neptune itself emit upon its creation some vast radiations of energy? Whatever the effects were, the epic likened them to a pouring of sleep. Excuse me. A calming effect upon Apsu, the sun. Even Mumu, the counselor, was powerless to stir. As in the biblical tale of Samson and Delilah, the hero, overcome by sleep, could easily be robbed of his powers. Ea moved quickly to rob Apsu of his creative role, quenching, it seems, the immense outpourings of primeval matter from the sun. Ea, or Neptune, pulled off Apsu's tiara, removed his cloak of aura. Apsu was vanquished. Mumu could no longer roam about. He was bound and left behind, a lifeless planet by his master's side. By depriving the sun of its creativity, stopping the process of emitting more energy and matter to form additional planets, the gods brought temporary peace to the solar system. The victory was further signified by changing the meaning and location of the Apsu. This epithet was henceforth to be applied to the abode of Ea. Any additional planets could henceforth come only from the new Apsu, from the deep, the far reaches of space that the outermost planet faced. How long was it before this celestial peace was broken once more? The epic does not say, but it does continue with little pause and raises the curtain on Act 3. In the Chamber of Fates, the place of destinies, a god was endangered, most able and wisest of gods. In the heart of the deep was Marduk created. A new celestial god, a new planet now joins the cast. He was formed in the deep, far out in space, in a zone where orbital motion, a planet's destiny, had been imparted to him. He was attracted to the solar system by the outermost planet. He who begot him was Ea, or Neptune. The new planet was a sight to behold. Alluring was his figure, sparkling the lift of his eyes. Lordly was his gait, commanding as of olden times. Greatly exalted was he above the gods, exceeding throughout. He was the loftiest of the gods, surpassing was his height. His members were enormous. He was exceedingly tall. Excuse me. Appearing from outer space, Marduk was still a newborn planet, belching fire and emitting radiation. When he moved his lips, fire blazed forth. As Marduk neared other planets, excuse me, everyone. Sorry about that. As Marduk neared other planets, they heaped upon him their awesome flashes, as he shone brightly, clothed with the halo of 10 gods. His approach thus stirred up electrical and other emissions from the other members of the solar system, and a single word here confirms our decipherment of the creation epic. 10 celestial bodies awaited him, the sun and only 9 other planets. The epic's narrative now takes us along Marduk's speeding course. He first passes by the planet that begot him, that pulled him into the solar system, the planet Ea, Neptune. As Marduk nears Neptune, the latter's gravitational pull on the newcomer grows in intensity. It rounds out Marduk's path, making it good for its purpose. Marduk must still have been in a very plastic stage, at that time. As he passed by Ea or Neptune, the gravitational pull caused the side of Marduk to bulge, as though he had a second head. No part of Marduk, however, was torn off at this passage, but as Marduk reached the vicinity of Anu or Uranus, chunks of matter began to tear away from him, resulting in the formation of four satellites of Marduk. Anu brought forth and fashioned the four sides, consigned their power to the leader of the host, called winds. The four were thrust into a fast orbit around Marduk, swirling as a whirlwind. The order of passage, first by Neptune, then by Uranus, indicates that Marduk was coming into the solar system not in the system's orbital direction, which is counterclockwise, but from the opposite direction, moving clockwise. Moving on, the oncoming planet was soon seized by the immense gravitational and magnetic forces of the giant Anshar, or Saturn, then Kishar, Jupiter. His path was bent even more inward, into the center of the solar system, toward Tiamat in Figure 106 on the next page. The approach of Marduk soon began to disturb Tiamat and the other inner planets Mars, Venus, and Mercury. He produced streams, disturbed Tiamat. The gods were not at rest, carried as in a storm. And here we have Sitchin in 106, figure 106, here at the top, is showing the flight path of Marduk. Coming in from outer space. He pretty much paving the way for this dude. Though the lines of the ancient text were partially damaged here, we can still read that the nearing planet diluted their vitals, pinched their eyes. Tiamat herself paced about distraught, her orbit evidently disturbed. The gravitational pull of the large approaching planet soon began to tear away parts of Tiamat. From her midst there emerged 11 monsters, a growling, raging throng of satellites who separated themselves from her body, and marched out at the side of Tiamat. Preparing herself to face the onrushing Marduk, Tiamat crowned them with halos, giving them the appearance of gods or planets. Of particular importance to the epic and to Mesopotamian cosmogony was Tiamat's chief satellite, who was named Kingu, the firstborn among the gods who formed her assembly. She exalted Kingu. In their midst she made him great. The high command of the battle she entrusted into his hand. Subjected to conflicting gravitational pulls, this large satellite of Tiamat began to shift toward Marduk. It was this granting to Kingu of a tablet of destinies, a planetary path of his own, that especially upset the outer planets. Who had granted Tiamat the right to bring forth new planets? Ea asked. He took the problem to Anshar, the giant Saturn. All that Tiamat had plotted to him he repeated. She has set up an assembly and is furious with rage. She has added matchless weapons, has born monster gods. With all 11 of this kind she has brought forth from among the gods who formed her assembly. She has elevated Kingu, her firstborn, made him chief. She has given him a tablet of destinies, fastened it on his breast. Turning to Ea, Anshar asked him whether he could go to slay Kingu. The reply is lost due to a break in the tablets, but evidently Ea did not satisfy Anshar, for the continuing narrative has Anshar turning to Anu, Uranus, to find out whether he would go and stand up to Tiamat. But Anu was unable to face her and turned back. In the agitated heavens, a confrontation builds. One god after another steps aside. Will no one do battle with the raging Tiamat? Marduk, having passed Neptune and Uranus, is now nearing Anshar, Saturn, and his extended rings. This gives Anshar an idea. He who is potent shall be our avenger. He who is keen in battle, Marduk the hero. Coming within reach of Saturn's rings, he kissed the lips of Anshar. Marduk answers, if I indeed, as your avenger, am to vanquish Tiamat, save your lives, convene an assembly to proclaim my destiny supreme. The condition was audacious but simple. Marduk and his destiny, his orbit around the sun, were to be supreme among all the celestial gods. It was then that Gaga, Anshar's or satellite, I'm sorry, Gaga and Anshar, which is Saturn's satellite. That was a little bit of a tongue twister, everyone. I'm sorry. And the future Pluto was loosened from his course. Anshar opened his mouth. To Gaga, his counselor, a word he addressed. Be on thy way, Gaga. Take the stand before the gods, and that which I shall tell thee, repeat thou unto them. Passing by the other gods or planets, Gaga urged them to fix your decrees with Marduk. The decision was as anticipated. The gods were only too eager to have someone else to go settle the score for them. Marduk is king, they shouted, and urged him to lose no more time. Go and cut off the life of Tiamat. The curtain now raises on Act 4, the celestial battle. The gods have decreed Marduk's destiny. Their combined gravitational pull has now determined Marduk's orbital path so that he can go but one way, toward a battle, a collision with Tiamat. As befits a warrior, Marduk armed himself with a variety of weapons. He filled his body with a blazing flame. He constructed a bow, attached thereto an arrow. In front of him he set the lightning, and he then made a net to enfold Tiamat therein. These are common names for what could only have been celestial phenomena. The discharge of electrical bolts as the two planets converged, the gravitational pull, a net, of one upon the other. But Marduk's chief weapons were his satellites, the four winds with which Uranus had provided him when Marduk passed by that planet: south wind, north wind, east wind, west wind. Passing now by the giants Saturn and Jupiter, and subjected to the tremendous gravitational pull, Marduk brought forth three more satellites: Evil Wind, Whirlwind, and Matchless Wind. Using his satellites as a storm chariot, he sent forth the winds that he had brought forth, the seven of them. The adversaries were ready for battle. And we're going to go ahead and stop there, everyone, as tomorrow's update on this will be finishing up this chapter titled The Epic of Creation. And for those who are listening, that that was quite insightful as to how these quote unquote gods set up the next heir, so to say, but they couldn't do it truthfully and faithfully. You know, it's like Sitchin put it, the usurpations, you know, the stepping over one another to acclaim a quote unquote title. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of the channel here, for liking the content, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing everything that's going on with the book here. It's just a book, but nonetheless, the book, the my weather updates. I just really want to thank you all for that. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Love you all.